Hey, so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can monitor what people on Reddit are saying about either your company or your competitors automatically with Gumloop. So the way this flow works is we're going to use Windsurf, the software company, as an example. And when I run this flow in a second, notice my spreadsheet is empty, my drafts are empty. So I'm going to run this flow. What's going to happen is it's going to go out, it's going to scrape Reddit, it's going to look for people mentioning Windsurf. It's going to categorize those comments with AI. It's going to write it to a Google Sheet for me. We're going to ask AI to summarize the comments. We're going to run a little bit of a filter, and then we're going to send draft emails to my account so I can be alerted when people are, again, talking about either my company or maybe a competitor company. So when I pop back over to my spreadsheet, what I can see is an AI summary of the Reddit post, the title of the post, the content itself, a link to the Reddit post, and then an AI categorization on whether that post was negative or positive or maybe even irrelevant. Again, we can open up these posts. Right, this one's complaining 14 hours ago that Windsurf was down. And then when I go back into my drafts, what I'm going to get is an email summary of each of these complaints so I can monitor these maybe once every morning, right? So I've got a summary of the complaint, the title, the URL, the content itself. And so I can stay on top of all of the conversations that are happening about my brand or my competitor brands on Reddit automatically. All right, so let me walk you through this flow in Gumloop, and then we can build it out step by step. So what's going to happen here, and we're going to set a timer here at the end. So this can run maybe once a day. And we're starting with a Reddit scraper. So this is a built-in integration with Gumloop. And this is going to scrape Reddit for whatever query you give it. You can also set a subreddit, but for these purposes, I'm just using Windsurf as an example. And so it's going to go out and scrape Reddit for all mentions of the query Windsurf. Then what it's going to do is we're going to categorize these posts using AI, right? So in this tutorial, we're really only interested in complaints, okay? People complaining about the product, whether it's our product or our competitor product. So we're going to use AI to take those Reddit posts and then do kind of a sentiment analysis. And it's going to give us a categorization that you can see in our spreadsheet, right? So negative, positive, irrelevant, neutral. We're going to let AI do the analysis. And to the side here, I have a separate AI node. And what this is doing is it's acting as the summary creator. So it's going to create a summary of the post that we can use in our spreadsheet and we can use in our email summary as well. So this is just going to summarize what the post is about, while the other AI node here is doing the categorization. And we're going to write all of this data to a Google Sheets. So it's going to take in all of the information, again, the AI summary, the title, the content of the post, the URL of the post, and the categorization. So if you want to hop into Reddit and maybe respond with your product or respond as a customer support rep, you can come in here and we have the links to all of the content. So that's what that Google Sheet node is doing over here. And then for this flow, again, we're concerned about the user complaints. So we're going to use a filter node here, which is going to take the categorization from the AI node and only push through the negative sentiments, right? Because we only want to be alerted just in this demo of people saying bad things about the product. So we're using a filter here to filter only on negative sentiment. Finally, we want to be alerted of these posts on Reddit. So we have a Gmail node set up here. So this is going to create draft emails, or you could just have it send the email straight through of all of the complaints on Reddit. Again, it has a nice summary. It's got the title and the URL. It's got the full content from the Redditor, so the entire post. And again, if you want to pop into Reddit and respond, you've got the URL up here as well. So on my channel about a month ago, I did a similar build out that scrapes Twitter. You can check that out. But I was inspired to do another video by my buddy Aaron on the actual Gumloop channel where he did a similar build retrieving posts from social media. So shout out to Aaron here for the inspiration. All right, let's get started. The only pre-work that you really need to do is to have a new Google Sheet created here. And if you want to follow along with mine, I have got my columns set as a post summary, a post title, post contents, post URL, and categorization. So real quick, if you want to download this template for free, then check out my free school community in the comments below. It has all of my templates that you can just drag right into either Gumloop or Lindy, depending on what platform I'm using. So you'll find this template along with the worksheet inside of the free school community. All right, so once you have your spreadsheet set up, we are ready to start building. So I'm going to come into Gumloop and create a new flow from scratch. All right, so to start off, we need the Reddit scraper node. So I'm going to come into my library here and I'm going to search for Reddit. And the great thing about Gumloop is it has a native integration to scrape Reddit. So there's no nasty API configurations. Everything is native. Now with this Reddit scraper, you can choose to set this up however you like. So you do need either a query or a subreddit. Again, in this example, we are going to run with Windsurf, which is the very popular AI code generator. Now, I could choose a subreddit if I wanted to get more specific, but I'm going to leave that blank. I'm also going to leave the post limit blank as well, but if you want to set the number here, you can set it in this field. There is a sort by option that I'm going to change to new in this example. And in my other example, I had it as hot, but let's see how the output changes when we sort to new. And then for your outputs, it's going to give you the title of the Reddit post, the URL of the Reddit post, and then the actual content of the Reddit post. Okay, so once you have this set up, we're ready to go to the next step. All right, next, we want to analyze only the negative responses, or take action only on the negative responses. So hopefully, if it's your own product, people are saying some good stuff about you on Reddit, and we need to filter out or really categorize all of these Reddit comments, right? And so to do that, we're going to use an AI categorizer node in Gumloop. So let me hit the plus button here and we can see the categorizer is this node down here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to feed all of the Reddit posts into here and let AI decide based on our guidance whether it's a negative comment that needs to be acted upon. So I'm going to drag the output from the Reddit node right into the input to the AI categorizer. And now what we need to do is select the content to categorize, right? What do we want the AI to look at? So that would be the content of the Reddit post. So I'm going to drag the content field over here. And then for additional context, I have a prompt on my clipboard. Again, this will be available as a template you can use in my free school community, but I'm basically asking it to take the Reddit content and then give it one of 4 categories: positive, neutral, negative, or irrelevant if it's not even about the product. So that's the context. And then after that, we need to choose the categories, right? We need to write the categories. So the categories, again, that we're using are positive. I'm going to add another one here for neutral. I'm going to add another one for negative, and then another one for irrelevant. And for the model, I'm going to keep it at GPT 4.1 mini. And now let's save this. And what we can do is run or test the flow. So you can see it already scraped Reddit, and I can open this node and I can check out all of the posts. And again, the default is 10. So here are the posts that it was able to pull in. And now when I go to the categorizer, I can see how the AI categorize these posts. So you can see about half of them are irrelevant. We've got a couple of positive ones in here. And as of this latest scrape, there are no negative ones, which kind of defeats the purpose of this demo. So what I can do is, again, I have this sorted by new. Let me just change this to hot and see if we get any negative results. Otherwise, this could be a pretty boring demo because, again, we're focusing on the negative categorization. Changing that back to hot does give me some negative posts here, so we'll be able to work with that. But again, you can check the outputs and the inputs of all of your nodes in the sidebar here after you run it. So we can see it's working successfully. It's taking in the Reddit information and it's giving it categories based on the prompt that I gave it below. All right, now what I want to do is build out the post summary column here. Okay, so again, we have this information from Reddit that has the content and the URL and the title, but I want AI to provide kind of a tidy summary of every single post that we can put into our database and that we can send to Gmail. So to do that, I'm going to add a new node over here, and I'm going to use the Ask AI node and just drag it into my canvas, kind of to the right side here. And now for the input for this node, again, I'm going to drag the output from Reddit right into here. And for the prompt, let me just zoom in a little bit here. For the prompt, I'm going to say, simple, please summarize these users' posts. And then for the content itself, what I want, again, is not the title, not the URL, but the actual content, okay? So I'm going to drag that here. I'm going to keep the model as is. And now if I run this, I want to check out the Ask AI node here. And you can see I've got 10 responses, okay? So this is basically just summarizing what the post is about, right? The user resubscribed, but has experienced long loading times and website issues. So this summary will be helpful, again, to post into our spreadsheet and also to include at the top of the emails that go out to us every morning. And now in order to get all of this information into Google Sheets, we need to add a Google Sheets writer node. So let me just start here. I'm going to search for Google Sheets and I need the writer node. Don't make the mistake of doing updater because that's not the one you want. So when you select that node, you're going to need to connect your Google account to Gumloop if you haven't done already. And then you just want to pick your file, which again is the Reddit scraper. All right, so you can see I've selected the Reddit scraper. Make sure you go down to columns and that all of the columns are available. You can see here I have to add the categorization. Make sure it's on writer mode. You want to add new rows, so plural. All right, make that setting change as well. And now what we need to do is just connect the outputs from all three of these nodes to Google Sheets, okay? So we need the AI categorizer, we need the Ask AI, which is just summarizing the post, and then of course we need the output from Reddit itself. All right, and once I've done that, and let me just zoom in, I can see all of those fields are now available to me to drag onto my Google Sheets writer node. So for the post summary, I'm going to grab that from the Ask AI node. From the post title is going to come from Reddit, post content from Reddit, post URL from the Reddit scraper, and then finally the categorization is going to come from the categorizer node. So let me drag that onto there. So now our Google Sheets writer looks pretty good. We've got all 5 columns here. We've got the writer mode set at add new rows, and we've got all 5 of our columns. So now when we run this, what we should see happen is this spreadsheet should populate. So let's just run it again from scratch. And again, what it's going to do is it's scraping Reddit. It's going to categorize those posts. We're going to use an AI node to summarize them. And we can see it's already successfully added it. So now when I go back into my Reddit sheet, pretty cool, right? I've got the summary over here. I've got the title, the content of the post, the URL, and the categorization, right? So we've got some negatives, positive, irrelevant, neutral. Everything is filled in exactly as we want it. All right, next we want to set up our filter because just in this demo, I want to get emails only about negative sentiment. So how do we do that, right? We're going to use just a plain filter in Gumloop. So go back to your node library and search for filter and just drag that onto your canvas over here. Now, what we need to do is, again, provide the inputs to the filter node here. And for those inputs, again, we're going to do the same thing. Reddit scraper, AI categorizer, and Ask AI. So you want to drag all 3 of those outputs into the filter node over here. All right, and let me zoom in. So we can see we have our connections there. Now, the first thing we need to select is what are we filtering by? And for that, again, we want to filter by the category, right? So we only want posts that the categorizer has set to negative. So for your filter by, you want to drag the field under categorizer. And then the next thing we need to do is set our inputs, okay? What else is going to come through the filter? So we want all the information from Reddit. So we want the title. Let me drag that. Let me add another input. We want the URLs. Let me add another input. We want the content of the Reddit posts. And then finally, the last input, let me add one more input, is going to be the response from the AI, right? Which is just summarizing the post itself. So this filter is going to take in all of that data so it's able to pass it out to Gmail, but it's only going to flow through the negative sentiments, right? So any posts that have been categorized like this as negative, anything else positive or relevant or neutral is not going to be sent to us through Gmail. Now you can keep testing every step if you want, but I'm not going to test the filter step. What I am going to do is add the last node here, which is the Gmail sender. And let me just clear out all of these drafts actually. So when we do test Gmail, it's just a clean slate here. And actually, let me clean out our spreadsheet as well. So we're working on a clean spreadsheet. All right. So again, we want the negative sentiment post sent to us through Gmail. So let me come into my node library, search for Gmail, and then choose the sender node. So let me drag that onto my canvas over here. And the only outputs that we need are actually going to be from the filter. Since we're passing in all the information that we need, like the Reddit posts and the summary and all of that, the only output, again, is from the filter node. So let me drag the filter output to the Gmail sender input. And now for the recipient, I'm going to use my own email. For the subject, it's going to say windsurf complaint or new windsurf complaint. For the display name, I'm going to use my own name. And then for the body, you could structure this however you want. But what I want is the summary, the post title, the post URL, and the post content. So for the summary, we can come back up here. And the summary is actually input number 4, which is this Ask AI response list. You see how that says input 4? So that's what I'm going to drag next to summary. Then we want our post title, which is input number 1. Again, I'm just looking in the filter node up here so I can correspond it to this over here. Then the post URL is going to be input number 2. So for post URL, again, this is going to be the body of the email, which is input 2. And then the post content should be number 3. All right. So the body of my email is going to say summary, and then it's going to have the field filled in. Post title, the actual post title. Post URL, the actual post URL. I'm going to set this to save as a draft so we can just view it in my draft folder, but you can turn this off and it will send that email. So let me just save this and let's try to run this. Again, my spreadsheet is blank. My drafts are now blank. So let me just hit run. We've got one node with an issue. Let me see what that is. Oh, I made a mistake in the filter node if you didn't catch it, because I didn't catch it either. So I forgot to set this condition type down here. So I'm glad I caught this. I'll obviously leave this in the video. So what are we actually filtering on? I did not set that. So under condition type, what I want to say is the text contains, and for the value, I want to say negatives. So remember, we're asking in the AI categorization step to categorize these as either neutral, positive, irrelevant, or negative. So for the filter, we need to actually set that condition. So I forgot to set that type. So again, it's going to be text contains, and the value is going to be negative. So let me save that. Now let's try to run it. So maybe I should have tested the filter step before. All right, so we're running this flow. It looks like everything is working well. Let's come into the spreadsheet, and I can see we have 10 new entries here. So we've got the summary of the post. Again, the user resubscribed. The post title, windsurf, is down. Here's the content of the post. And then here's the URL, and it was correctly categorized here as negative. The second one, you can see the Reddit post is just, the title is windsurf is not working. The post is obviously complaining that it's not working. And so the summary is saying the user is reporting that since this morning, the platform is not functioning properly. That was correctly identified and categorized as a negative post. So let's hop into my Gmail here and refresh. And you can see, now remember, it was scraping 10 posts from Reddit, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drafts, which should match 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see I have 5 negative Reddit posts in my spreadsheet. So the filter is working. It's only passing in the ones that were tagged as negative. Going into my Gmail here, I can see these drafts. Again, these are to myself. So again, the idea is every morning you wake up, you have a new email to yourself about people complaining about your product or your competitor's product on Reddit. So here's the summary. So this is the AI agent that took the post and is just giving us a nice summary. We've got the title, Windsurf no longer working. Here's the URL to the Reddit post. And then here is the actual Reddit post itself. So this is working as intended. We've got it set up. And what you can do here is add a trigger. So right now we're just manually running this, but you can come up into Gumloop, click add a trigger. I can click a new time trigger. Okay. So let's say I want this to run every day at 9 a.m. I'm going to click generate. And now Gumloop is going to give me this time trigger. So it's going to run at 9 a.m. every day, Eastern time. I'm going to click create time trigger, and I've got my time trigger created and saved successfully. So now this is going to run on autopilot. It's scraping Reddit. It's using AI to categorize the sentiment. It's using AI to summarize the post from Reddit. We're writing it to a Google Sheets database. We're filtering on only the negative posts. And then finally, we're sending Gmail emails to ourselves to be alerted when people are saying negative things about our product or our company's product on Reddit. So this is a pretty useful flow for doing social media listening. We could do some other steps. We didn't go over error handling or error nodes. We can do that in a separate video if you guys are interested. But in terms of getting set up as a first pass, this is a pretty cool automation. If you enjoyed this content, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, you can get this template for free in my free school community. Let me know in the comments what kind of content you want to see next.